Yeah, let's take it to the bridge.
All hit music, solid rock and gold. Wow, it's Friday.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
Okay, here we are. Santa hat. It's better than hair in my eyes. Keep the hair shuffled to the back and the sides. Anyway, everything you know is wrong. What else is new? I'll tell you, it's crazy. I took a glimpse at the news, and, I don't really do that, but I've also, today is the day I got to go to the dentist to get my tooth checked. But in any event, it's
Weekend.
So I thought, well, let's start out with the
Weekend weather.
And let's take a look. And you can see we still have that southerly flow that's hugging the coastline now of the former United States. Pardon me. But you see all that blue action just to the west of the southerly flow, which is kind of coming down from the north and almost spinning just tad. That's going to be bringing snow flurries and the convergence of the two of those things. We're talking about wind gusts. I know in my area, Mid-Atlantic states area. Wind gusts as high as 45 miles an hour. That's like tropical wind forces. And out in the Pacific Northwest, including like Northern California into Nevada, it looks like they'll probably get some snow in the higher elevations there. It looks like there's some kind of stalled system in the high plains. I don't know what the heck's going on with that. It's like the clouds are moving beyond it, but it's staying still, and it looks like it's thick, high, heavy clouds. So I'm not in that area, but it looks like there's something going on there. To be more specific, for people in my neck of the woods, currently outside, if I could get the right weather to pop up, it's 37 degrees, and the forecast is for snow this morning. It's going to be 36, 34, maybe reach a high of 39 today. And then they're talking 100% chance of thunderstorms, which I'm not sure if they're going to be snow. That's going to be snow thunder or not. Overnight 27. Saturday, it's going to be clear up a little bit. 37 degrees for the high, 30 again for the low. And Sunday, more thunderstorms. Though I listened to the NOAA radio, and they were talking about snow, and it's 39, 28, and then getting into next week, it's going to be in the 30s, and the night times will be in the 20s or around freezing. Depending on who you listen to, and that's why I say there's something fishy going on in the title of this show. I get my weather, as you can see here. This is from NOAA. This is as recent as you can get. All right. So this is actual low Earth satellite orbit, CONUS to be exact. This little loop was taken about an hour or two ago, so it's fairly present. I mean, this is what's going on, and I listened to the NOAA radio. And then I check the various other sources like local weather forecasts and what have you. And they all seem to be in disagreement. And that's why I show this, because at least on here, we can see where the clouds are and we can see the weather patterns. And so we can get an idea if, what they're saying is true and isn't. And it seems to me that it's more likely to be snow around, lake effect snow around the Great Lakes area and beyond, snow in anywhere from looks like Indiana into Ohio, West Virginia, Western Pennsylvania, upstate New York. In fact, dipping down into Tennessee, perhaps. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on what how that northern flow, how strong it is. But there's definitely something coming down from the north, and the rest is coming up from the south. And that convergence of the slightly warmer air with the colder air is why I think they're predicting thunderstorms. That's usually the way it is. It's not always that way, but that's kind of like the way it happens.
Weekend weather.
And that's your weekend weather. I almost stopped the broadcast instead of just stopping that. Bright, clean, and shiny today with the Santa hat on. You know what? What the heck?
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
All right, well, let's get this weird stuff out of the way first. I just looked at the news, and I only maybe once a week will I actually focus or bring out the news. And this is, as you can see, this is Google News. This isn't me talking or opining or something along those lines. And as you can see here, as it says, Google News, coronavirus variant sphere sparks Africa travel curbs. WHO meets to discuss new heavily mutated COVID-19 variant. That's Fox. Bloomberg, new coronavirus variant, a serious concern in South Africa. New COVID-19 variant should show immune evasion and enhanced transmissibility, South African scientists warn. That's CNN. Europe, Yahoo News, Europe rushes to bolster virus defenses as South Africa detects new strain. Okay, so now when the old expression, be afraid, be very afraid. So remember yesterday, and I've been saying this for a while now, and I know people are going to, you might as well turn it off now because you're going to think this is some kind of conspiracy idea. Okay, first of all, this is reported from Google, so there's nothing here. I'm not playing like I know something or I'm talking about something. I just read you the news from CNN, Yahoo, Bloomberg, Fox, BBC News. Okay, and it was all listed and posted by Google News. Okay, all right. Now, and they're talking about some immune evasion and enhanced transmission, new strain. Now, you understand that this thing started in the summer of 2019, according to the former head of intelligence, U.S. intelligence, and the former director of the CIA at that time, 2019, summer of 2019. Then there was an event 201, which you could search and find, PR and press releases and actual video from the event itself, which was presented as if, well, what if we had this kind of thing happened? But in reality, all the people present at that thing were at such high levels of, in the virology community and government officials that they are already aware that they weren't preparing for a possibility of something like this happening, and hey, let's have a conference and get all these people, these major players together to talk about prevention, or if this happens, what we could do. They already knew that this thing was already out there because it was released in the summer and reported by the CIA and the head of intelligence in an interview on Sky News. And the WHO knew that. And so they hold this thing. Now we're talking about, geez, at this point, I mean, summer, we could be let's be generous and say it was August. So August, September, October, November, December, January was when the US really was aware, basically the public, US public became aware of this thing. 6 months later. So it begs the question, what the heck went on? What the heck happened? What's going on? It just smells of, and the idea now that there's more and more information it's pretty much a given thing that this came from the Wuhan lab. I mean, that's been reported on so many news organizations, and they've been carried on Google and YouTube. So that's been widely reported. The gain of function thing has been, discussed and talked about on the Senate and the House floor, in hearings, that that was gain of function research. In other words, this was a created bioweapon. This was a created bioweapon created in a bioweb in Wuhan, China. And obviously it was created and released, however you want to get into it, in the summer of 2019. We're basically 1 month away from 2022. It's 2.5 years. And now they're saying the worst is yet to come. And you notice how that these variants, they appeared in a specific place where it seems to me that they were released. And I had predicted this. Now, this is a sad commentary, and the show's not going to be about this, but there's something fishy going on. And I don't understand what the people in the news media and how they're not real. I mean, they're reporting that they're reporting that this is happening. All right? But this is happening under, this out to lunch administration. Not that, the last administration, apparently their intelligence agencies knew about it. So they either weren't reporting that to the Congress and the White House, or the Congress and the White House knew about it in the summer of 2019. Remember, this is, and that's why it has the, they call it COVID-19, as in the year 19. But the U.S., but it was after that Chinese holiday when all those planes were shot, shot in every direction from Wuhan to Italy, New York, San Francisco, London, Paris, South Africa, all around the world. And that's apparently it was released. And now it seems to me that they just released the killer one. So all I can say is stay healthy, man. Stay healthy. And, it's really sad. The news that's been coming out could show immune evasion and enhanced transmission, serious concern, heavily mutated, rushes to bolster virus defenses. How are you going to rush to bolster virus defenses? They're already we already know, I know firsthand, and it's already been reported on just about every news station, all the mainstream media, that people are getting booster shots, but that, remember that hospitalizations, people who've gotten a shot are getting hospitalized now and dying. There's 2 or 3 studies out there showing, in a couple of countries where the people who were, so in other words, we have no defense against this, is what they're saying. So is this going to be, is this it? So that's something's fishy's going on right now. And that's all I can say about that. I mean, it just, like I say, this is Google News. This is CNN. This is Yahoo. This is Bloomberg. This is, BBC, Fox. This is choose your news source, and they're all reporting this. I mean, I'm giving you the scoop because it's 4:24 a.m. Eastern Time in the former United States, and I'm the first one on air doing this live. But this is coming to you. This is Google News. This isn't me making this thing up. I'm reading what I see, what's been reported. Okay. And my other previous statements, thus far on this show have been exactly what has been previously reported on Google News or these various news sources. I'm only reporting what I see. And when I say I know someone who got the jab, so to speak, and came down with it, I'm talking firsthand experience. There's no make believe here. I've got no skin in the game. I've got no investment in a pharmaceutical companies or stock or for or against any of that stuff. I'm pro health. I'm pro everyone's health. Anyway, that's just, let's just get that out of the way so it's done and move on to some other things. So I reckon with that news, Bitcoin continues its dive. So while it, was up a couple of $100, briefly the other day, we're down now to 54 and change. 54.6. So we were at 66.6. So, we're talking about it's down $12,000 in the past week or two per coin. You make your own judgment on that, whether you think that's something that, is worth it. I mean, this is down 7% in one day. It's not exactly some, but like I say, you do whatever you do. The reason you came here is because it's Black Friday and the title card says leftovers, and we'll get into that. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you in my grow room. These are potted plants, in this case, potted radishes that I grew indoors. And so just to show you that, and there was at one point where these leaves were wilted and I neglected them and it was kind of cold in that room and this, that, the other. But there's a couple of radishes there ready to eat. Grown indoors. And it's just like a standard Dollar Tree pot, with some, just bag soil. And a couple of seeds that I probably bought at Walmart or someplace originally, for 20 cents or 50 cents or something like that for a whole pack. And it only takes about 28 days, or I forget what the cycle is, but something like that. It's a short cycle to grow radishes. And you've seen my kale plant. I have a kale plant growing indoors right now. I have cilantro. I'm growing some oregano. Of course, I have catnip for the cat. That's growing well. But I intend to put in other things. So the point is, you may not, it depends. I don't have a really good, expensive setup here. I have very cheap lights. In fact, I got a thing here. I don't know if I threw it out or not. I might have thrown it out because I shouldn't have, because it would be a nice thing to show you. But the electric company sends out this thing. Yeah, I guess I got rid of it. I couldn't figure out a reason to save it. But it's the second time I got one in a row where it said my electric uses compared to the neighborhood, to the best people in the neighborhood, I was on the lowest electric usage. So I just have some very cheap LED grow lights in a closet off a porch, which isn't the temperature there sometimes gets kind of cold. It's not very well, it's not a professional operation here. professional operations. I know there's people growing like tomatoes and peppers and stuff over winter and all that stuff, and I'd love to do that, but like I say, I don't have the bread to do it. But yeah, so in desperation is what I'm saying. In a situation where you needed to eat sustenance, there are things that you can be growing in your house and making salads and having food and living, whatever. So it's just one of those things I pointed out. I do it just to, I was just curious. This is the first year I did this. I was curious, and sure enough, it works. So I'll grow more radishes, and I have a larger like tray-like thing. So I'll grow them in a row. So my next time I'll grow like a dozen or more radishes instead of just a handful. Here you can't. Some of the other ones are half buried, but there's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 plants. I just think there's probably just 4 plants producing right now. But I think the next time I'll plant like a dozen or so, and try a few other things that are kind of fast. They come to fruit within a month. So doesn't take a long time. And the idea that I'm getting this yield, on the, what is it, the 26th of November, Black Friday. I just thought I'd share that with you. A couple of other quick things. La Palma is still acting up, and as you can see, it's spewing a heck of a lot of ash into the air, like other volcanoes around. And that's one of those things that the climate crew, the alarmists, are just not talking about. Like that, the cooling effect, as we have a weakened magnetic field, and the magma in the earth, which ultimately, when it's exposed to the surface, because we call it lava, or just when sometimes you just have these spewing ash volcanoes, right, that don't necessarily erupt in the sense of doing the damage that this particular one has done. That ash is that gets up in the atmosphere, and it has a cooling effect on the planet. And there are so many things that are happening right now with this weakened magnetic field, the ash going up, the slowing of the conveyor in the Atlantic, and various other things that are actually cooling this planet. So I don't really understand these climate alarmists, because they're almost like they're telling you the complete opposite. That's just like, this goes hand in hand with there's something fishy going on. Like, I don't understand why that climate summit, they actually were trying to say that global warming and climate change is 100% man-made, produced by humans or something, which is the most idiotic thing in the world. They don't mention the sun, which is the primary contributor to the Earth's climate, right? They don't mention volcanoes. They don't mention they discovered in Australia where there was some melting, and they found out it was basically geothermal. It was from underground heating was melting the ice. It wasn't, it wasn't because the air was hotter, right? It's, down there, it's still frigid below, constantly below zero, way below zero. So, and that's just to name a few. So why are they lying or creating this narrative? I don't understand that. But this is fact. This is today. Again, this is a photo taking from the Spanish site. Again, I don't go to, I don't want secondhand reports, filtered through some U.S. media source. This is a photo This comes from the Spanish site, right? The official Spanish site. That photo was taken within the last 24 hours. Okay? I left my email on, and I'm getting these Black Friday deals. Let me get rid of that email so that doesn't interfere with my CPU. Was up to like 9 because of that. Approaching 10. All right, on a lighter note, well, let's take a little break from that, and let's go to the featured artist today. The featured artist, the band, Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66. And as you can see, this is like kind of I guess this looks like this is the original album cover because it has Herb Alpert Presents. And Herb Alpert was the A in A&M Records, which basically was I used to live out in LA. I used to pass it going to my office. He had the old Charlie Chaplin movie studios, the lot, which isn't really a super big lot where Charlie Chaplin used to make his films, his main studio, the ones that weren't shot on location, obviously. And A&M, that's where A&M Records was, at least at that time, and I'm sure it still is. But anyway, Herb Alpert, yeah, he's the A in A&M Records, and he discovered this band. And this is, I would say most people you wouldn't know, most people don't know this. I was the king of swing, I had the longest running lounge show back in the 90s, right? Before anybody knew what this kind of thing was, broadcasting and playing stuff. And that's why I have these kinds of things.
All hit music, solid rock and gold. Wow, it's Friday.
And I do wish we could be playing more music, but can't do that. So anyway, this album has a number of, first of all, this was their premiere album. Now, they had Brazil 67 or 68, I think, or something like that. Like they changed that a little bit from time to time. You can get like a greatest hits album, right? Which I would probably recommend if you're going to be listening to it. I know a lot of people don't buy, the whole album, even in digital form these days. But the idea about this is that they were it was part covers, like they covered a lot of Beatles songs. Not a lot, well, more than most bands, but they did them in this like Brazilian sound. And I think that's how they like probably came to be. But then they had their own stuff, which is good, like songs like Pretty World, and they got into some of the classic Brazilian, even the bossa nova type of stuff, like Antonio Carlos Jobim type of songs. Who's another one that I would highly recommend you check out, Antonio Carlos Jobim. He also teamed up with Frank Sinatra one time, and they did an album, and that's a pretty good album to have. But this is about these guys. Well, I've always been a fan of the Brazilian sound, the bossa nova, and the two girls in here. I think at one point one of the girls or both of the girls were replaced later on, but the two girls singing together, they're naturally singing together, this harmony, it's really good stuff. Now, you may think this is like, someone may listen to this and say, oh, this is like easy listening music, or something, because you have to, it's lounge. I used to put a lounge show on, and you have to get into it. But, I'll tell you what, you want to have a romantic dinner, or whatever, or just a party, and you want to throw in one or two of these songs in the background, It's like there's another guy named Walter Wanderley who used to play like the organ, and this is what would be considered the jet set sound. And I don't know if you remember a show called It Takes a Thief with Robert Wagner, that show from way back. You can't really find that in reruns, but I did find that Dave Grusin, who did the audio, I'm going all over the place musically here, but like I say, I know all this stuff because I've been through. I live this. Dave Grusin did the music for It Takes a Thief, the TV show, and for a while I know on YouTube on Dave Grusin's channel he had most of the episodes of It Takes a Thief on there. And I guess he was legally able to do it since he was part of the show technically or something. That's the only place I've ever found them. I've never found those reruns on like Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything. And that was a classic show. But that was show. He was like a thief type of thing, but it was the jet set life. And, and so this is what Brazil 66 is. This is, we call it lounge in the 90s. It was, the throwback, and there was like a movement that lasted for less than a decade, really, and then it fizzled out. But it was bands like Brazil 66, that were, were a part of that. And it was the jet set lounge, type of scene. And there were all sorts of artists involved in that, it could go on endless. But as an introduction to it, you might want to check out Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66. If you're requesting it on one of your audio, assistants, that kind of thing, and you hear something you don't necessarily like it, just say skip next song, please, or something. Okay? I guarantee you'll find one or two songs that you go, wow, that's a really good song, or that's a cool song. So it's worth exploring, or if you have some kind of memory of it, rediscovering it. Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66, album feature of the day, music band feature of the day, whatever you want to call it. Today I go back to the dentist to deal with the tooth at I'm gonna arrive a ride med van ride at like 10:45. So wish me luck. This was my Thanksgiving dinner yesterday. I have it on transparency, and I thought I think that was a mistake. So let me go to properties. Okay, no. Image file. Color correction. Let's get rid of the opacity. Okay. As you can see, the colorization isn't the greatest, but I don't know why it isn't, because the sweet potatoes, I had 2 real sweet potatoes. And what I did, and I had a turkey breast. And that's basically just turkey stovetop stuffing, which I was on my title card yesterday. And the only thing I mixed that with, I just boiled some water and put a little of olive oil in to make it healthy. I didn't add any butter or anything weird like that. So it tasted pretty good. And I just put the 2 sweet potatoes in with this this turkey breast in the oven at 350 degrees for about 2 hours. And the sweet potatoes, the skin, I just put the potatoes, they were actually sweet potatoes. I just put them in there. And I just peeled back, when I took it out of the oven, I just peeled back the skin and kind of spooned out that, the insides, and it was like I didn't even have to like make it like mashed potatoes, or anything like that. It just was soft and delicious. I didn't even have to I didn't even season it. It was just great. I put that's like a spinach and artichoke dip that I added that I thought maybe might enhance it. And I did eat that with some of, sometimes I didn't have any turkey gravy. So, that I just added that was pretty much my dinner. And then I made this makeshift pumpkin pie, which I showed you was on my title card yesterday, which was basically, it wasn't a pie. Since I have this tooth problem, I didn't want pie crust. So I just scooped out that 100% pumpkin, no preservatives, non-GMO, onto a plate and topped it off with a little bit of Cool Whip. And it was a pumpkin pie, and that was my dessert. That's what I ate yesterday. So that's the daily photo. And the title, which brings us to the title card. And these are my leftovers. Look at all that turkey leftover and that stuffing in the other thing. And I do also had a plate of leftover. I couldn't eat all the pumpkin pie stuff either, so that's in the fridge as well. But today is Black Friday, so here we are. We find ourselves, the crazy day. Take everyone's hard-earned money away from them, right? Freedom is fun. I'm trying to fix this for TV because what I found is that it's not just, I noticed some other sites were cutting off, so it might be my TV that's doing this, but nonetheless, I'm doing it in case someone else has an HD TV that's a couple of years old, or not more than a couple of years. My TV's more than a couple of years old. Mine's at least 5 or more years old, but still has a good picture. I think it's only 720p too. Everything now is like 1080 and, 4K, this, that, the other, or whatever. But I find when you're sitting back at a certain distance, the crispness of the video, it's immaterial. If you can afford to have like an 80-inch 4K 1080 or 1920 TV, yeah, go for it. But the idea is don't pine for one, because to tell you the truth, 720, if you're sitting at just a normal distance away, even 5 feet, even as close as 5 feet, it's a crisp picture. It all has to do with pixelation and how the pixels how it works. It's a little bit different with TV now than it was in the past. You don't have that RGB thing necessarily as you did with the cathode ray tube. There's various different manners in which they're presenting the picture to you. However, nonetheless, it still basically falls under the same thing, that if you get right up to something. Now, if you have a super high resolution TV, you could have your face right next to it, and it's going to be crisp and solid, almost look like a photograph, glossy photograph. A 720 or something like that, if you get too close to it, it's not as crisp. But like I say, once you're sitting in a chair or on a sofa, it's going to be the same. So, that's, I think we covered everything from the news to the grow room, and like I say, we've got this sun out there, which is a primary contributor to the Earth climate, and I don't understand what's going on with that. Why there is this denial that we have this big ball in the sky that causes, it gives us a sunburn. It's actually healthy for us and the plants, with UVB, gives us vitamin D. And it is the primary contributor to our climate and heating the planet. It's not human. And that 0.004 CO2 is considered a trace gas. We've been through it so many times that I have the numbers memorized now. The atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.9% argon, and the remaining trace gases. Add that up. What's 78 and 21? Right? That's 99. Then you take 0.9 argon, and it's 99.9% of the atmosphere is nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. And so that 0.1% remainder, which are trace gases, out of that is 0.004 CO2, methane, water vapor, and things like that. Now, does this sound familiar? Speaking of something along the lines of this, 99.9%. You see? And people will fall in hook and line and sinker for these things. Right? But oddly enough, that's just a weird coincidence that the same alarmists who are pushing the same kinds of things, right? Yeah, 99.9% of our atmosphere is not CO2, okay? Is not produced by, man-made anything. And to discount things like volcanoes, geothermal activity, the sun, which is the major contributor to climate, and grand cycles, axial tilt, precession, right? The motion of the planet, how we have the seasons and all that sort of things. These are all factors that affect everything, from jet stream to what we call polar vortexes to heat waves and things like storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, and forest fires are natural occurrences on this planet that have occurred, since, since as far as we know in history. And all we have to do is look out through a telescope or the Hubble telescope, and we see these storms on Saturn and Jupiter. We can see the aurora borealis. So we understand the magnetic fields get more active, due to the solar activity on other planets. So it's not just the Earth, it's the sun. The sun basically extends throughout the solar system. That's why it's called the solar system. Technically, our star's name is Sol, right? And so it's the solar system. And it protects the solar system from outside cosmic rays through its magnetic field. And then the Earth has its own magnetic field, which helps with that, but also helps protect us from solar rays. Okay, but we have a weakened magnetic field, and then we still have a problem with ozone. And so that lets stuff in. And people don't even remember that. That's an old one. You had underarm air sprays and, refrigeration units, used to all have this freon and things like that were like accumulating in the atmosphere and help depleting the ozone layer. Well, those ozone holes never closed up, even though they predicted they would have closed up like 20 years ago or something like that. It's like everything else. It's like I told you, just look back at Time magazine from the late 70s, that issue with Archie Bunker on it, where it says, are we heading for a new ice age? So, these people will fearmonger, use whatever they want to. And in their minds, any trend, anything that happens, like, they just take advantage of something. Not to mention there are nefarious people involved that mess with the numbers, fudge the numbers, change the numbers. The UNIPCC was caught within a series of emails showing that they were trying to intentionally, conflate this whole thing. That was years ago. News media doesn't cover that anymore. And then there's a host of scientific papers that have been written up in journals, peer-reviewed journals, that contradict half the stuff that came out of the Scotland summit, climate summit. But I'm not so concerned about that because that's a bunch of hogwash. That's their secondary. This is all part of their 2030 plan. This World Economic Forum idea. See, the Great Reset has already started. And so it is now a given fact among mainstream media, among the bureaucrats and the politicians around the world that there is some man-made climate change. And they won't accept this 99.9% of the, they never bother mentioning to anyone what I just said to you, that 99.9% of the atmosphere is not CO2, right? They don't understand that. And it's that small amount of CO2 that is responsible for the fact that we actually have food, which is, all right, because, plants and trees need CO2 to grow and, in effect, to give oxygen. So we get food and air that we breathe, our life-giving oxygen, comes from that trace amount of gas that, of CO2. Pretty crazy that, the average person just is not aware of that. But you have to come to grips with the fact that they never will be aware of that. Just like you have to come to grips with the fact of this scary thing that I showed you earlier, all right? That people we will never know the truth, even though the truth is out there. Like they used to say on the X-Files. So, yeah. And yes, I'm back in my Christmas garb. It's Black Friday. Like I said, I'm not neither a pro-consumerism person. I'm more a pro, or against it. I'm like a pro-holiday gift-giving, peace on earth, and that kind of person, right? That's my bag, right? My wheelhouse, as they say, I guess. So this is where I try to say, to these people who like the Save America type of people and that kind of stuff. Look, acceptance is not defeat, okay? Accepting reality is sanity, okay? That's what it is. Accepting reality is sane. And then planning and figuring out how to live your life and navigate through this crazy world that has been hijacked, literally hijacked by this corporatocracy, right? This global international crime syndicate that has turned nation states into corporatocracies. And that the fact of that, they're never going to tell you the truth about our atmosphere, the content of our atmosphere. They're just never going to tell you that truth. It's out there. It's written. You have to be, in many cases, you have to have an understanding of science to see through the lies. And the layman has been brainwashed on this for so many years. There's people born in the age of Al Gore, who was proven completely wrong, and all his predictions were like, none of them came to fruition. So you have to accept the fact that these people in the media, and they're of that age group, that they were brought up as little children, and they were never told that 99.9% of the atmosphere is nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. And that CO2, no matter, even if it went up another 0.0 to 0.005, it's still a trace gas. A trace gas. And it's something that's essential for the growth of trees. A lot of these people are vegetarians. This is really the kicker. A lot of these same people are vegetarians and vegans, right? The save the planet type of people. And the planet doesn't need saving, by the way. The planet's going to do just fine, all right? But you know what I'm talking about. And so if you're a tree hugger and you're a vegan and or a vegetarian, you understand that CO2 is the thing that feeds you. And if you allow these people to go and do the type of things they want to do, choke off CO2, right? You're going to be eating bugs and you're going to be eating meat. Okay? And then as far as I've said this 1,000 times, I think I literally did say it 1,000 times because I've done 500 some videos and I say it all the time. So you're not going to build back an infrastructure, build back better, and fix the infrastructure without heavy equipment that requires fossil fuels. And I don't care what Elon Musk tries to create, his vehicles and these battery operated trucks. The sheer weight of a container, these things that are on container ships, talk about them just empty, requires a crane that runs on on carbon-based fuels or fossil fuels, as you would call them. All right, requires a crane to lift it off of the ships and then onto these various crane type of things, lower it onto an 18-wheeler to transport it. Just, that's an empty container. Now imagine that container filled with refrigerators, right? A washer or dryers, right? Or just food, I mean, the sheer tonnage. And you would have to charge so many times to get across the United States, right? That, because that would be people's argument. Well, they're going to build more charging stations. Yeah, the only problem with that is electricity in the United States comes primarily from gas and coal, carbon-based fuels. See, they got this idea, that somehow, sudden electricity is something like we'll just go electric. We'll go solar. No, these things are like at best going to like 12% or something, if they doubled it, it would be like 25%, of the electricity. And that would take, so long to do. Right. And it's totally unreliable. Right. And in order to manufacture the solar panels, in order to raise the windmills, right. And forget about, they talk about hydroelectric and stuff like that. The amount of heavy equipment used to build dams and something of that magnitude, all of the aforementioned things require carbon-based fuels, and you would end up using more carbon-based fuels than we're using right now. It's the same as if they were to fix highways and railways and bridges, to forge steel, all right, to raise those girders, to have fire trucks, which weigh so many tons, ambulances, emergency vehicles. See, none of this stuff is ever talked about. And I'm angry about that. I'm angry at you, Dave Rubin. I'm angry at you, like Joe Rogan. I'm angry at you, Candace Owens, everyone, all you people that, sometimes will like interview people and try to, say, well, yeah, this, the fact of the matter is nobody's getting into that. No one's talking about heavy equipment because they don't even know what it is. They don't know what an excavator is. They don't understand how many the tonnage of a hook and ladder, and that in a major city, if there's a fire on the 16th floor, the type of vehicle that it needs to raise that ladder, to pump that water, that size truck is never going to run on batteries unless some aliens come down and give us some like magic technology. Because Elon Musk doesn't even have anything in a pipeline. He has a new battery coming out. It's much better than his other one. but it's not going to forge steel. It's not going to run fire trucks and ambulances. Okay? And like I say, even if you did have batteries, a battery has to be charged. And right currently, the only realistic way of charging is to use carbon-based fuels. We live on a carbon-based planet. We are carbon-based life forms. Did you know that? We are carbon-based life forms. And that doesn't even get into the issue of containers, plastics. All right? And people will say, well, we recycle. Yeah. Not when you have 8 billion people on the planet, 330 plus million people just here in the United States. Like this bottle alone, all right? This says recycle bottle with cap on. Recycle, not recycled, right? This has a thing on the side of here. It has the recycle symbol to fool people, but when you look at it and read it, it says empty and replace cap, plastic bottle, and it points you to a website where to give you some advice on how to recycle. But these products are new because you cannot get, and people, and a lot of these people, they're into like, what is that, kombucha and all this other stuff. And I know there's homemade, hippie type people that make this stuff themselves. But come on. Most people are going to the store and they're buying these fruit, smoothies and all these other things. Well, they all happen to come into some kind of thing like that. And yeah, there's like whatever. They're free of like certain kind of poisonous parts of plastic and different things like that. Yeah, it's a much purer form. But you don't understand, this is a byproduct of the refining of fossil fuels, carbon-based fuels. All right? So you're still going to be releasing carbon, CO2 into the atmosphere to make plastic. And it's no big deal. Okay? The trees and plants love it. And for you vegans and vegetarians, guess what? You without carbon-based fuels, you'll starve to death. You have to become a carnivorous. People have no idea. And that's the thing that gets me. And it's the same with this thing now that we saw on the news here. Immune evasion, enhanced transmission. Okay, so what was the whole purpose of all these people that did this, got this thing, and they're all ended up being hospitalized, some dying, and now they're boostering this, but now they're telling us that there's a new one that's like the killer, the one to kill us all. Boost your immune system is all I can say. Talk to your doctors about it. Make your doctor fess up to you. I intend to. Of course, I don't have, I'm going to a dentist today, unfortunately. But I have two doctors. I don't have a doctor's appointment till January. But I intend on, getting to the bottom of it. I'm really going to press my doctor. And I think you should press your doctor too. Get the facts about this stuff from a medical professional. Say, hey, what's going on? What do I really need to do to stay healthy? I'm paying you. You're a doctor. I'm paying you. I want to know what's going on. Because what I see on TV coming out of the mouth of these news readers, bureaucrats, politicians, this kind of stuff. This is like out of a horror movie. Think about it. Like one of those movies like Contagion or, you know what I mean? Like this is out of a horror movie. Fear, sparks. See, what they're trying to say is that they're saying this is exactly the opening scene of a horror movie like a Contagion that's going to kill everybody in the world. Right? And here we are on the 26th of November. Man, I hope this isn't true. I mean, this isn't what it is, but it is what it is. It's being reported by Yahoo, CNN, Bloomberg, Fox, BBC, and it's all on Google News. And so in effect, they're saying that, Europe rushes to bolster virus defenses. Well, how are they going to do that? They've already tried, and it hasn't worked. Could show immune evasion and enhanced transmission. Serious concern. Heavily mutated. Variant. Sparks fear. Or sphere sparked. All right? Well, what are they going to do? I mean, they've already done everything else. I mean, in some of these countries, 80% of the people are inoculated. Stuff like that. I mean, people are doing it. People are getting it. That's another thing, a big thing that they're making it out. They're making it out like people haven't gotten, inoculated and stuff. The numbers are growing all the time. There have been slow people doing it. But the problem is those people are still getting it. And they admit that on TV. They're saying, well, you might need 2 boosters. But now, that was yesterday. Today, they're saying, oh, there's one new one now. So what do they have? They don't have anything for it. This is a bioweapon. There's something fishy going on here. Or it's the end of the world as we know it, and they're going to kill off, I don't know, half the world's population. There's like close to 8 billion people on the planet. So is this going to be the one that takes us out, just like in the movie? Right? I mean, I think I have natural immunity to this thing because I've been exposed to people who've had it. And I didn't get sick. And I tested negative. But I have no idea. Maybe this new one is to take out people like me. I don't know. Right? It's just that if you want to watch that Sky News interview with the former CIA director and former head of intelligence, and them tell you that, that's out of a horror movie too. The whole Event 201, it would be a scene in a horror movie. You literally could call together, right? Someone could edit like existing news footage and stories from this and the stories that they cover and put all this stuff together and the footage from the Event 201 and their like presentations that they've had. You could edit that together without any like doing anything. Like adding anything, no actors, no nothing, just edit it together, like in chronological order and stuff, and then scenes from what happened and stuff, and it would be a horror movie, right? It would literally be a horror movie. Where's this thing? I told you this whole thing works. If you could find which hand is which, this hand is here. Okay, this hand goes here. That's the Christmas thing. You see how weird that is? How you can't, it's like, it's not only not a mirror, but it's like also not almost the opposite of a mirror. It's very weird, very crazy, very wacky. Anyway. So, that's the question. Where do we go from here? So, it's like I say, it's game over. You don't know what you don't know. They're not going to bother to tell us. Right? And everything apparently seems to be wrong. And yeah, I sound like a broken record. Maybe I even sound like Howard Beale over there on the screen. But then there's this contradictory thing that some may say is, well, you got freedom is fun on there. What do you mean by that? Well, what I mean is I'm trying to get at these guys. This doesn't work exactly right unless you can see the guy with the beak, Maybe the earth needs to be blown up more. Yeah. The logo. and maybe even brought down. Yeah. That's better. I'm trying to build the perfect beast here that works on all mediums. Like I say, on my TV, somehow it's like stretched, and I guess hopefully the R won't be taken off. But like part of the TV screen of like the Howard Beale TV screen and the arm of the girl up there, I know that's like partially cut off. I'm just hoping it's not, you know. Anyway, yeah, but the what's not contradictory is that what I'm saying is that freedom can still be fun in a sense of freedom is a state of mind. All right. And you're going to have to push your health professional, your doctor, and say, hey, I need to know the truth. I need to know what's really going on. Right. You know, what do I need to do? Right. To really be prepared for whatever they're up to. Because they're certainly up to something. This isn't natural. You know, we're 2.5 years into something that literally, like I say, literally if someone just put together all the clips of everything that's come out would be, you know, a horror movie. You know? In other words, it would be a horror movie. So it's crazy. I mean, it's like...
This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare.
I mean, really? I mean, when I saw that today, that's like I say, I'm against the news. I get, you know, because I'm so tired of these people. But when I look at this, it's like WHO meets to discuss new heavily mutated, new variant, serious concern. I mean, I had to do it.
This is insane. Oh, no.
Well, I'll tell you, it's worse than oh no. Eyes itchy. I had a headache last night. Through the night. You know? Just a mild headache. I took a half of a baby aspirin today, and I ate some food. It might have just been because I didn't eat, because I basically my last meal is usually like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But the point is I get up at 2:30, 3 o'clock, you know, so it's only 12 hours. People fast 12, 15 hours and stuff. And I've been doing that for a while. Also, this stuff I think this stuff upsets my stomach. So if I get sick in my stomach today, I'll just end the show. I won't put you through, you know, that weird agony again. I'll just drink some water to keep hydrated, to keep my tooth. I got to take a shower after this. Today I've got to do laundry. I guess when I come home, I'll do laundry. Take the clothes I had at the doctor's office off and throw them in the wash. So, see, I do all the things, you know, that more so than most people do as far as keeping sanitary, you know, clean. You know, it's like I said, the problem I had cut on my hand, which is healing now. But, you know, it was like I couldn't put a Band-Aid on it because I wash my hands so much in the course of the day because of all the things I do. And I also do a thing that they didn't tell you to do, which I think they should have, is when I come back from a place, you know, where you have to wear a mask or something like that. Because, you know, air still gets in. I mean, that whole thing is just preposterous. But, you know, you do it because you have to, right? Otherwise, they won't let you in. But I mean, you could breathe. So if you can breathe, obviously microscopic things are going to, if you're breathing air, it's getting in, unless you literally have I think it's, I have one of the N95 things and I don't use it. I use a kerchief or one of those other ones because the N95, I literally could not breathe in. So that was probably definitely blocking out everything, but I couldn't breathe. So I don't know if it was just me or what, but I couldn't breathe in it. But I have talked to some other people who've said they've had a problem with those kinds of things too. And they don't push the N95s anymore. They just, say you must have a face covering. Right. But when I come back, when I encounter, when I have to go out into the world, I blow my nose very well when I come back in the house. And I'm surprised they didn't tell people. They don't tell people that because that's where it's entering, through the nasal passages, initially. And so people should be blowing their nose, I often thought, like I say, I'm just, I'm not saying anything. I'm just like throwing things out for you in case some random, pharmaceutical type of person is watching. It's like, you think they would have came, what, do you ever see Vicks Vapor Rub? You know what that is? It comes in like a little tiny jar. And it's like a blue jar. It's like, and if you have a stuffy nose or a bad cold, I always keep one of those things around. But if you inhale that, it kind of really clears your nostrils. And if you put a little dab of it just at the end of your nostrils, some people, when they are congested, they even rub it on their chest. In the old days, it used to be one of their cures. Oh, wheezy, too. Hope I'm not coming down with it. But I don't think I am. Like I say, every time I've been tested, I keep testing negative. But anyway, so why don't they just have something like that, that you could put at the base of your nostrils, that would kill anything and allow you to, I don't know if they could create something like that or not. I'm just saying. And I'm not saying Vicks is it. That's nothing. That just helps open your It's like mentholyptus and Vaseline or something. No, but I'm saying that they couldn't come up with a concoction. I'm just putting that out. Like, there's so many things that you just wonder that if they really wanted to get rid of something that they could, they could come up with. And I still don't understand why when guys like Joe Rogan or Tim Pool or that Psaki, she got it. Why when those people get it, Trump and all those other people, when all those kind of high profile people get it, they get this like kitchen sink thing and they're back, at work in a couple of days, within the week. And yet there's other people hospitalized and, and dying. And so and the people out here, watching this on TV and, so watching them report something, go like, well, so in other words, if you're a multimillionaire or you're an elitist, you have no big deal. If you get it, it's bad. Yeah, you're going to get really sick for a day or two, but you take this kitchen sink thing and you're fine and you're back making your YouTube millions, right? Or back with your government job. And that bothers me, and it should bother you, because why isn't that available to all of us, right? What's up with that? There's like so many things like this that really are confusing. And like I say, there's something fishy going on, man. It's like, there's definitely something fishy going on. So I don't know. I can't figure it out. And I don't, like I said, all I'm showing you is the stuff that's out there on Google and the stuff that's out there on these various news reporting things. I don't have any answers. I don't know. I'm as puzzled as you are. Right? But, what disturbs me is there's a lot of people that aren't even puzzled. They're just like, okay. Right? Like they don't even think about they don't even see the crazy stuff. My lights are flickering a little bit. If the power goes out or something like that, or the show ends abruptly, I wouldn't put it past it. It's weird weather we've got here today. I have to go up into my attic, which we haven't talked about in a long time in this show. But I'm in that one. And I probably should do it this morning before I take my shower, as opposed to when I come back from the dentist, which means it's still dark. I guess I'll wait till it gets light, or maybe not. But I've got to empty a few containers. It's a pain in the ass up there, I'll tell you. But yeah, we're in for a cold winter. And the thing is, I was listening to these people, and like, I'm living here. I'm experiencing it. I walked I walk the mile, I do that thing, my thing, which you heard the whole thing yesterday if you watch the show.
I trampled a little over a mile.
So I do that to go to the grocery store or something like that. And I check the weather and give you the weather every day. I read it. I'm looking right now at Friday to Tuesday, and every day is going to be in the 30s, snow on a couple of days, cloudy every day, not even a chance of sun. And every night is below freezing, either below 32, 30-ish, 30 and 20s Fahrenheit, or below 0 Celsius. And yet I listen to the radio and they say, oh, this day was 4 degrees hotter than, And I'm going, you got it. Why are you lying? I was here last year. It's like it snowed in May, because I'm a gardener, and I want to, it used to be, here's the deal. It used to be March comes in like a lion and out like a lamb, right? So by the end of March, it was like mellow, right? March comes in like a lion, out like a lamb. This is what they used to teach you. These are rhymes in school, all right, when I grew up. And then it was April showers bring May flowers, okay? Well, here's what it's like now. March comes in like a lion and out like a lion. April comes in like a lion and out like a lion, and it snows in the first couple of weeks of May. And yet you listen to these people and they'll say, oh, the record last year was the warmest on record. And people are watching TV and they're believing it. And I'm thinking, do you ever go outside? I mean, do you ever go outside? I'm telling you, I could tell you as a matter of factual for the last 6-7 years here since I've been gardening and doing this stuff, that every year, and I've got pictures of snow in my garden, and have to cover everything with burlap and stuff after what supposedly used to be historically the last snow or freeze date. Right? See what I mean? I don't understand. It's like it's a horror movie. And I don't understand the people. Have they been so brainwashed, and are they so caught up in this media? Like they just can't turn off Fox News, or they can't turn off CNN. They just can't do it. They can't stop watching the ABC Nightly News or whatever the hell it is, or PBS NewsHour. It's all lies. It's because when you're out in the real world, it's simply not so. what they're saying. That's just not the way it is. You know, it's colder. You know, there's more frost. You know, it's like it snows late, snows early, snows late, freezes early, freezes late. That's what I'm saying. You know, that's my main idea why I'm trying to perfect this way of growing indoors. You know, so I could extend my garden season. I literally last year, and I got yield from them. I had to grow my tomato plants inside. I actually ate a few tomatoes. They were very small, that were from the closet. And then the rest of the plants, they got crazy because tomatoes are viney. They were viney tomatoes, so I had to it was like a mess. And some of the branches broke and all that stuff trying to carry them out in the backyard. You know, by towards the end of May, but at least they were already at that point grown. And eventually they took. I put them in the soil and stuff, and they yielded tomatoes for me. So that's kind of what I have to do now. And I didn't have to do that before. In fact, in years gone by, I planted tomato seeds, right in the ground. And I've got a fairly early yield, and I got a lot of yield straight through, like so many tomatoes that I just had to give them away, and stuff. It's like squashes and stuff like that. I can't even, I had a few big squashes this year and stuff, but I can't grow them the way I was growing them before. Because I can't get the seeds in the ground early enough because it snows late. And these kinds of things, the fruit plants, because tomatoes are fruit, squashes are, the fruits and vegetables, certain fruits and vegetables just really require hot weather. It's like peppers, so I have to start the peppers inside. And, and I have a mini greenhouse thing that I built out there. But I mean, when it gets so cold, there's nothing you can do about it. So all I'm telling you is there's something, like the title of this show is like, there's something fishy going on. And people are falling for it all, hook, line, and sinker. And I can't figure it out for the life of me. It's like you live in, it is like in the Twilight Zone or something like that. It's like, let's see what we got here.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Right. I mean, you see something and it's just other people don't see it. And you're going like, and they're like, and they're just wandering through. And so today's Black Friday, so people are going to max out their credit cards today and Monday, I guess Cyber Monday next week, all next week probably. They extend these things. Now you could see I bought stuff here, but I'd shop at the Dollar Tree. I went to Rite Aid. Rite Aid has an aisle now, in case you didn't know that. And I know Rite Aid's all over the place. They have like $1 and a $2 aisle. And the day I was there, which was like 2 days ago or something like that, they had an aisle, they had like 50% off, like all kinds of like big things, like gift, like things you would never, real expensive stuff like Godiva chocolates and, you know what I mean? These, top name type of things. So you aren't buying just, some generic type of thing. So, I was just surprised. I couldn't believe it. when it gave, I thought they made a mistake. And then I looked at the receipt and I saw like 50% off this. And then, of course, I knew I shopped in this aisle that had like these $2 and $1 items. So, there's inflation for sure. I don't drive a car because, and I'm glad I don't now because, it's like someone explained, like apparently Biden has released 50 million barrels or something from the strategic oil reserves or something, which we really need to have because especially with China acting up the way they are. But someone said that's only a couple of days worth of oil. So if it lowers gas prices for like the Thanksgiving weekend, it's like he can't keep doing it, and you don't want to empty the oil reserves because then you're screwed. Like, what is the idea with that, too? Like, they closed these pipelines, put an end to drilling, and apparently sold leases, like he sold off some of these Gulf oil leases to other countries. So it's like, it's not like they care about CO2, people using it if they're selling these leases to people. They just don't want the U.S. to have it. They're trying to topple the United States. The people who are in charge of this country are trying to destroy this country itself. And the media is cheerleading them on, which makes no sense because they're going to be affected by it. Or are they that ignorant, brainwashed that they can't figure it out? Right? They don't know any better. They really don't know that 99.9% of the atmosphere isn't CO2 or other gases. They don't know. They don't understand everything I've said in this show. It just, like I say, something's fishy going on. It doesn't make sense. So they're going to choke off our means of heating. It's wintertime. Like, I have gas heat here. Okay? If I had electric in this area, it would probably come mostly from coal or from natural gas, and the natural gas would be from what was fracked, right? Because in this area and many areas, and these people are the same people who are like, we got to stop fracking. I'm against fracking. Didn't Kamala Harris say that? Yeah, we got to stop fracking. Yeah, well, if I had the money and I could switch to all electric heat, my heat would come from coal and fracking. Why doesn't the news media cover that? Why don't they explain it? See, they don't explain that to people. And like I say, and the people who are the critics, they don't explain it either. I'm like the only guy, and that's why there's 0 people watching this show live right now, and that these shows get 3. Lately, these shows have been getting 3 views. One of them is a friend of mine. I think one of them might be me when I watch, because I watch these back myself. And then I guess there's some random other person, or it might be somebody I know. I don't know. I do have another friend who tunes in every now and then. So basically, in effect, nobody really watches this show. They've got it because those people know about it, so they watch it. So it's completely hidden from the list. And I went through that. People have looked at it and they've found out that they've post date the show, so they make it seem like it was yesterday's show, so that it doesn't appear in the current live feed, so that random people can't discover this. Yeah, it's really weird. So as far as I know, I'm the only semi-rational guy, semi-rational, who's basically reporting this stuff to you. And I'm only giving it to you firsthand and reporting what is actually out there. by the so-called mainstream media. Now, I'm not making anything up. And the things I don't know about, I question. That's the thing. I question these things, and that's what I'm saying. Something's fishy. I don't know what. I don't know the answers. But it just doesn't seem right. Right? I mean, the things we're being told are not practical. You can't fix a bridge if you can't forge steel. You can't fix a bridge if you can't lift that girder. You can't fix a bridge if you can't get that ridiculous ton, cement truck to bring that cement. You can't run a cement truck on batteries. See, all the heavy equipment used to build back better for infrastructure repair all require carbon-based fuels, but they're using up they're getting rid of all of our carbon-based fuels. So they're saying no new drilling, no pipelines, selling these leases off, and then using up our strategic reserve. Suddenly it says no data. I don't know what that was about. So, in other words, we won't have any carbon-based fuels if they keep this up in another year, 18 months. Now, do the big tech companies, are they aware of this, or are they so caught up in these social issues and stuff that they're not paying attention to this? Like I say, and people in the media, these are educated people. I know some people who've made it into decent positions in the media because I used to work at Columbia University. They were very intelligent people, right? And they've scattered like the wind throughout the U.S. All have good jobs. So, how could they not be aware of this? It's logic. Highly intelligent, above average IQs, Ivy League educated people, just, not paying attention. Come on. All the geeks I've known, and I'm pretty much a geek too, we're way different than I was. Cause because I've gone the creative route, I don't fill my brain with stats, but a lot of the geeks I knew were like almost statistician type of people. They knew they could recite theorems and, mathematical formulas. So they would know that, if you said to them, well, what's the atmosphere comprised of, like gas-wise, what percentages? And they would be right off. It's 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.9% argon, and the rest, are just trace gases of like CO2, water vapor, methane, and stuff. 99.9% of the atmosphere is nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. They would just know that. But they're working in Silicon Valley now, or you would think. I guess that's who's working there. I hope. So why, are they aware? They know that plants require CO2, right? They know the trees require CO2. The tree, the Sierra Club and all the tree hugger type of people, I like trees. I'm a tree hugger. I'm growing trees in my backyard. I got 2 apple trees I planted from scratch. The one's like 14 feet tall right now. I nurture trees. I like trees. I wish I had more land. I'd have a frickin' orchard. And I'd also have some other trees. I'd like to have some like a pine tree, and some trees like that. I like the smell of pine and spruce and stuff like that. I'd like to have shrubs and all kinds of things like that. So, yeah, that's CO2. And like I say, what's up with the vegans and vegetarians? Aren't they aware of that? That's where their food comes from. And they're only trace gases. And, the UVB rays, everybody's out there. Yeah, get your vitamin D. All these doctors, vitamin D, you need vitamin D. Take the supplements in the wintertime because in the summertime, get sun. They know that the sun is the source of life and light and all that stuff. I mean, photosynthesis. It's like something I'm surprised people don't say. It's not just the plants that have photosynthesis. Humans have a form of photosynthesis too. I mean, it's not the same process. It's not as simplistic a process, though some could say it's kind of complicated in plants as well. But when you're in the sun in the summertime, you're not only getting vitamin D from the sun, but it's activating all kinds of receptors and things inside your body. The sun is naturally good for you, in decent, in the proper dosages, not getting, sunburnt, or that sort of thing. But yeah, just, a basic dose of sun every day, even every other day or so, is going to give you, is going to build your immune system. The sun is also like nature's disinfectant, So, things out in the sun, are like clean of, of virus and bacteria. People don't even, I mean, and, like I say, these geeks and these Ivy Leaguers who work for the media and Silicon Valley, big tech, they know all that stuff. They're educated people. They're all college grads, some with masters and PhDs. And what about all these college professors who are signing on to all this climate crisis stuff? They know better. They're professors, for crying out loud. They have access to the peer-reviewed papers and like the journals, because those things cost money. You have to buy a lot of the bigger ones, but they have tenure at universities, and so the university picks up the tab and stuff. So they have access to all this information. They know what's going on. But why are they sitting quiet? I mean, are they like wanting to bring on doomsday? I mean, are people so afraid? This consumerism thing, are they so afraid to lose their big house and their Mercedes, right? And their trophy wife or something? I mean, I don't get it. Like I say, part of the reason I'm showing these gifts and this holiday spirit and stuff is that it's the holiday spirit, like I say, it's a holiday season. But it's the idea of it's a time to come together. It's a time the community, and gift giving is like, I always say, gift giving is a sacrifice. You do what you can do. And it's a way of showing, appreciation and stuff, and it's fun. And it's an American holiday. It's like Thanksgiving. It's an American holiday. Like, people who like have a problem with that and go back to some 400-year-old tale of pilgrims or something. There's nothing to do with it. It's an American institution. Whatever, you know what I mean? It's not what they're thinking. It's Thanksgiving. Give thanks for what you got. That's all it is today. I don't know what it was. It's like these people that try to divide people. It's like out here in the real world. It's like the Who out here in the fields. Well, out here in the neighborhood where I live, which is pretty much a very diverse neighborhood of people of low income primarily, right? This isn't like what you see on TV. Okay, people get along. It's not it's not some big social type of thing, but nobody's like, you walk down the street and it's like people say hi to you and stuff. It's like nobody's like, there's no weirdness. So I don't, that's the puzzling part about what's happening right now. Because as we see this thing speeding up, and like, yes, we've got inflation, and yes, all these problems are happening, but behind me, you're looking at gifts. I wrote a book, and I give my book to people. It's a work that I do, and I work hard at, and it's a way of sharing a creative thing I've done. And then I'll, spend some money at like a Dollar Tree or discount it at the Rite Aid or Walmart or something, and get some, some little trinkets or little gifts for people, just something to put a smile on the face of somebody, or give them a little treat. I think it's fun. And it's an American institution. It's a holiday thing. It's a holiday season, Got Hanukkah coming up next week, and then Christmas after that. They're holidays, and celebrating, some commercial and gift giving aspects that have, involved, doesn't take away from those that consider, the more religious aspects of it. They go hand in hand, right? And again, we live in this country. They have become Americanized. These are American holidays. We just finished Thanksgiving. It's an American holiday, and it's basically just give thanks and get together. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with anything in the past. And if it had any meaning in the past, it's long since gone. All right? People want to change something for the sake of what? Right? Live your own life. You weren't a part of that. You weren't here. Your family wasn't here. You have no skin in the game, as they say. I certainly don't. My relatives, weren't here 400 years ago. All right? The people who were here that these people try to, accuse, put us in category with, those were the people that we fought against in the Revolutionary War. Right? We kicked them out of here. Right? That's what the Revolutionary War was all about. Getting rid of the king system and these crazy, MFs. And that's what we did. And that's what Independence Day is. I say this all the time. It's independence from England. I'm sorry for you, my friends over in England, but, yeah. At that time, King George, was a prick. And, was screwing us over. And so basically we said enough is enough. And that's what Independence Day is. It's independence from England. People don't even think about that. Why would you call it Independence Day? Right? You ask somebody that. Say, what's its independence from? And they're like, duh. It's independence from England. That's one of the reasons why some people, they just call it July 4th. Like, so they don't have to go there. It's craziness, man. It's really crazy. And it's fishy and freaky, and I don't know.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
So I haven't gotten any notifications that anyone took advantage of buying any shirts or any of that stuff. But I guess judging from the viewership, what should I expect? And I probably mentioned this stuff too late in the show. And this show probably starts out with a commercial or stuff, but I'm not monetized, so I don't make any money on it. So they do that. And who knows what kind of commercial they put on. It probably scares the death out of people, right? So, yeah.
This is insane.
I don't know.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, we're definitely not in Kansas, that's for sure. So, I guess I've got a busy day ahead of me. It's kind of early though, but I got to go clean, empty some water cuz it's yeah, thunderstorms, snow. Now they're saying 100% chance of snow today. They keep changing this. Snow 100% chance. Monday 30%. Sunday's going to be thunderstorms. But I have to go up and prepare the way. You know, I have to empty some buckets. See, I successfully did some good work up there, some patching and stuff. And so the last couple of times it's rained, I just haven't even bothered emptying because such a small amount of water has leaked in because of my patching jobs. But, you know, with upcoming possible meltage of snow on the roof or thunderstorms that with, you know, blustery winds that could be forcing the rain, you know, right onto the sides of the roof. I'm going to have to empty out those buckets and prepare so that I don't have to in the middle of the night, you know, go up there to keep it from making it down to my living area, bedroom and hallway or something. So I guess I'm going to do that. Thanks for tuning in, those of you who tuned in, you know, friend and stranger alike. This show to me seems, you know, I think there were some important topics discussed here, and, you know, share this because it's freaking crazy, man. What's going on? It's crazy. So take care. And like I always say, go to rockflux.com, greatsolarstuff.com, or go to Amazon and get my Then What book. Buy the print version. Links to all of that stuff are at rockflux.com, so that's the easiest way to do it. So